Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Supreme Black Eye aka SBK here with another video, and today we are going to be talking about the live action version of Made in Abyss. But before we get into that, I was going to make a video on the Avatar live action new series that's coming out, but I folded because I was kind of getting mad because the changes are just so different. Like, it just completely changes what the source material was, and it's not like it was a book and there's just a million details that you just can't include all in a movie or a TV series or whatever the case may be. They just completely took the things that made and just says fuck it. They just don't care anymore. It is based in a school. Aang and Zuko are competing versus one another. Katara and Sokka's backstories changed a little bit. The only thing that's faithful is the fact that uh the personalities. That's the only thing that's really faithful. The characters' personalities are, they kind of read the same. But I mean, jeez, man, jeez. Like, dude, the powers, they're labeled as mysterious powers, meaning that it hasn't been figured out yet. Meaning that bending isn't a long established thing. It's obviously what the mysterious power is going to be, because it has that for Zuko, Katara, and Aang specifically, but it doesn't mention it with Sokka's description. Obviously, it's going to be bending. Zuko's dad, Fire Lord, is still going to be defeated, but since this is in schools and stuff like that, I don't know what role exactly does he play. It just seems so confusing. Like, to me, it's going to be the student versus, I don't know, the boss tax collector or some bullshit. But enough about Avatar: The Last Airbender, all right? Because it's not what this video is about. You see the title. It's about Made in Abyss. So I'm just going to read this article. Now, when I already read the article, there's not a lot that talks about what's going to happen because this is very new information. So we don't have a lot of information. We just know that this is going to be a manga feature adaptation that's live action. It's in early works. We don't know if it's going to be a movie or a series. But it just gives a quick description of what Made in Abyss is. So if you haven't watched Made in Abyss, then this fits for you too. Made in Abyss has spawned a 2017 anime TV series and a sequel film that premiered in Japan in January 2020, as well as an action role-playing game and digital publication. Made in Abyss follows an orphan girl, Riko, who seeks to find her mother, presumed dead, after she descends into a giant hole deep in the earth called the Abyss, hence the name. Riko's adventures are with her robot friend, Areg. The Abyss contains artifacts and remnants of a civilization long gone and is therefore the popular hunting spot for cave raiders. Those who enter the cave can experience a curse or malady. Rico's mother, Liza, was one of the last notable explorers of the Abyss. Okay, so that's basically what the show is about. What that does not tell you, and what makes Made in Abyss is the graphic violence and very terrible things that happens to the characters who that I have not mentioned. They're kids. Now there's, again, terrible things that happens to the kids. More than just them getting killed. It's more than just child violence. It's sexual content. I think I didn't even make it that far into the anime. I stopped watching the show because that's not me. I don't like seeing kids. I don't care if it's animated or not. I don't like seeing kids harmed. Real life, fake, whatever the case may be. I don't like it. I just can't watch it. You may call me soft. I don't give a fuck. If you are one of those weirdos, yes, you're a weirdo. If you like seeing animated kids get fucked, then that's you, man. Alright? You're weird. I'm not gonna say you need to go to jail, whatever the case may be, they're animated. Whatever the case may be. But if you like that shit, don't blame me for not liking it. Alright? And there are manga panels that I've seen that involves these kid characters in those situations. And so, knowing that, I stopped watching the series just in case that happened, because that's, to me, I'm not into it at all. I hate looking at it. The Grave of the Fireflies is another example. That had nothing to do with anything like that, but it was just a very sad decay of the character, the little girl, and I hated seeing that. It made me very emotional. I know I sound like a bitch, but look, long story short is that, I struggle with stuff like that. Everyone has their weaknesses. America has a lot of people that's similar to me, or people who act like it because it's the right thing to do, quote unquote. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but whether it's fictional characters or real life, it's the morally right thing to do. Japan, on the other hand, Not saying they don't care about kids. People really do misunderstand Japan. They do have laws in place to protect children. You like people have this misunderstanding that you can go around sleeping with 13-year-olds because that's the age of consent. Dude, go read up on those laws. You are ignorant if you believe that. That's just an excuse to feed your fetishes. All right, like stop it. Just accept that you're weird. Stop trying to say Japan is all weird too. You cannot go around sleeping with 13-year-olds in Japan if you're grown. All right. Only 13-year-olds can sleep with 13-year-olds in Japan. They can consent to each other. But that's not what this is about. Look, listen, I'm just saying, Japan, when it comes to animated and drawn characters, they follow that Michael Jordan adage very, very, like they follow it loyally, all right? Very faithful. Unlike Avatar and unlike probably what this series is going to be, they are actually faithful to the source material. They are faithful to that adage. A little bit too much, quite literally, when it comes to, drawn characters or animated characters. Just very, very, very faithful, all right? But that's how Made in Abyss is able to be Made in Abyss in Japan. It's Japanese made. In America, you're not going to see that, and it's not going to be viewed the same. And when you make it live action, not only are you having the safeguard of it being animated, because maybe it will pass in America if it was animated, but when you're making it real real actors that are experiencing these fake things, whatever, like that's going to be looked at in poor taste. Like people are not going to think well of that. That's just how it is in America. Whether that's good or bad, is I guess up for debate. But like I get it. I get why they would think that. It's just hard to see. It was hard to see the animated version. It would be very hard to see if it was real life. And that's the thing. The real life version would have to censor out everything in America. That's why I said earlier, in Japan, it would be better for live action because they wouldn't have to censor out as much. Now, in the anime, I think they took out some of the stuff that the manga had. But again, that's just an assumption because I didn't even finish it. But with the real life version of this thing, Japan is the only place that would be able to show it in all of its terrible glory. That's just not going to be a thing in America. So is it going to be faithful? I highly doubt it. If it's not faithful, then this is the one time that you could be objectively good or bad in media. If you're trying to make a faithful adaptation, then it's either you're faithful or you're not. So they could make a bad adaptation of this series. So I just don't know why Kevin McCullen, who's the one adapting this, I don't know why he decided to do this movie or this TV series. Excuse me, I keep saying that. It just does not make any logical sense to me. Like, he's an American, all right? He's in Hollywood. He knows what flies and what doesn't. He's just going to, what was he doing this for? Shock value? Maybe it would be passable if you make them adult actors or teenage actors. It's like 18 or something. But like, even then, a big part, like the impact that Made in Abyss had for all those graphic things is because they were kids. It doesn't matter for the story. In my experience, when I watched it, I don't think them being kids mattered. You could make them any age and the storytelling would relatively stay the same. But the impact of the terrible things that were happening was because they were kids. Like, this is really screwed up because it's kids. I mean, there were screwed up things happening to any age, right? But because it's kids, you are way more invested to it emotionally. And that's just the plan and tool that the creator had, I'm assuming. But in America, if you want to keep all of that terrible stuff and you don't want to censor too much, then you got to make them adults. But then how much do we really care? Because we see terrible things happen to these adult actors in these movies all of the time. So it just doesn't work the same. No matter how you put it, you censor it, it's not Made in Abyss. You don't censor it, you make it adults, it's not Made in Abyss. Because, I mean, most of it is shock value. There's a lot of shock value for Made in Abyss. So, I mean, I just don't know what they're going to do. Like, I just have no doubt in my mind that it's just not going to work. Again, I say that why adapt this when there's so many things that will work instead. I don't care what anybody says. I do think that if you give the right person, the right director with the right vision, that he can properly adapt an anime or manga. I know there's so many weebs that try to gatekeep and say only Japanese people can do it. Bitch, you just wish you was born in Japan. Please shut the hell up. Like, you're not cool. Shut the hell up. You are one of the most annoying people to ever see. I hate people who gatekeep based off of the region of the world when creatively you can freaking do almost anything. You just gotta have the right person. Please shut the hell up if you think like that. But Berserk can be adapted if you got the money behind it. We see all these films and effects and all these worlds. Lord of the Rings, way back when, came out and it was pretty decent as a movie. So yes, Berserk can be adapted, even with all that magical stuff. As long as they don't get too crazy with the CGI, kind of like the animated series, ironically. But yeah, Berserk, Vagabond, Vinland Saga, those are all animes or manga that could be properly adapted live action by a Westerner. I truly do believe that. There's so many more. I think Ghost in the Shell can be done well if you don't screw around and make Scarlett Johansson the actress. Like, please, please, no. There's plenty of the series that's just escaping my mind, but it's possible. I mean, even new stuff. To Your Eternity is very doable live action. There's so many, and we can act like there isn't, but it can be done. Death Note can be done well, but just don't let Netflix do it. All right, don't let Netflix do it. All right, whether I'm right or wrong, do not let Netflix do it. Columbia Pictures is doing this. Columbia Pictures is doing Made in Abyss. That's a real. That's a real production company. All right. So just let real production companies do it so they could put the proper budget behind it if they care enough. Now, obviously, I don't think this company is saying this is going to make a lot of money. So they're probably not going to put the correct budget behind it. But you would give Berserk the right amount of money, it's going to be done. All right. Just got to get the right person on it. All right. And the same for all those other anime I've listed and so many more. Tokyo Revengers. Another new anime that's very easy to do. Me and my niggas, we can do that. Like, it just does not take a lot to do a lot of these series. And even if it does, like I said, Marvel is doing a lot of crazy things. You just gotta have the money behind it. But that's it for this video. Sunday we are having as aforementioned, Tokyo Revengers review. Not really a review. I'm just, kind of loosely commentating on it, having fun with it. And that's probably how my reviews are going to be from now on, because it's just so much work trying to be objective when objectivity doesn't exist. Plus, it's hard to be very descriptive of a show that is just now coming into its own. I feel like all of the episodes that came out with Tokyo Avengers has been pretty pointless, if I'm being totally honest. Like, it hasn't done too much, even though a lot has happened at the same time, but I feel like there's so much more that's about to go on, and these characters are really about to come into themselves. So look out for that Sunday. Probably get it out before 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know. You guys probably clicked off already. If you clicked off, I was going to say something pretty incriminating of myself, but no. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.